Welcome back to Run It Back. I'm your co-host from 19.9, Josh Barnett, and I am with my other co-host, Mateen, Cleaves, MSU legend. Mateen, how you doing, brother?
JB, what's up, baby? If you tired to win, tap in. Let's get it.
there it is. We have a special one today, man, and I know this is a guy that you loved watching play, looked up to growing up. So I'm gonna hand over the intro to you, my man.
Oh man, I love it. Now, let me tell you, this is New York's best point guard ever, man. This is one of the best college basketball players ever. This is one of the best basketball players ever, man. Like I'm freaking out, man. Like
Thank you.
We're honored, man, to have the legendary Kenny Anderson on the show. What's up, baby?
Everything is good, man. Thank God. I'm blessed. So I everything is good. I can't complain at all, and I won't.
Hey, Kenny, for our video, our YouTube listeners, can you show the shirt you're wearing?
Point guard, baby. New York City. That's why I wore it.
There you go. Now we got Mateen in his work clothes. He's in a suit and tie, but I did wear I wore the 1990 Final Four shirt.
1990. That's sweet, baby.
Oh man. So yeah, it's like Mateen said, man, it's an honor to have you on the show. You and I have talked multiple times through the last few years and stuff. You've just been a great dude, and we appreciate all the love that you show to 19.9 on social media and things like that. So we had to get you on the show and have some fun. So we wanted to kind of start just in NYC, and I went back. I'll confess, I went back last night, watched Mr. Chibbs again. The thing that stood out to me, I was talking to Mateen a little bit about this before you popped on. You're starting to get recognition as a sixth grader. And this is pre-internet for all our listeners. This is pre-internet. How does a legend grow that quickly? Sixth grade pre-internet.
It grew it all. First of all, coming from New York City, the basketball mecca, and that's where it grew, man. All my friends, and then the scouts. Tom Chachowski was a great scout. We just lost him, and we went to I went to the same high school, Archbishop Malloy High School, with Kenny Smith, Brian Winters, Kevin Joyce, the greats. Went to my high school, so it was just awesome. Growing up in New York City, the playgrounds, learning the skills, and then Vincent Smith, my mentor, Kenny Smith brother, is my mentor. That they like family to me. So it was kind of like, all the point guards, man. Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland, Pearl Washington. I had a first eye watching those guys in the parks growing up. So it was easy for me to learn the game the right way through them. And we had so many great point guards. Boo Harvey, Kenny Patterson, Kenny Hutchison. It was crazy. I just had to watch, man.
See, and it's funny because kids, they don't have that luxury anymore.
No.
To sit back and watch them type of the caliber of players that you just talked about. I mean, how like, even and go into that a little more. Like, how much of a luxury was that for you to sit and watch that type of caliber of point guard in a New York park?
Oh, it was just awesome, man. I learned a lot from all those guys, and I took some of my moves, my playing, my charisma, everything from those guys. I used to sit on a basketball and watch those guys. They were like six to 8 years older than me, growing. So I just knew I wanted to play basketball, and I just had so much fun with it. It wasn't about all the flash, it's the money and all. I just wanted to play ball, in my neighborhood, in the streets of New York City.
And Josh, let me ask a follow-up question this, because I gotta ask, like, KA, on the parks in New York, like, when did it really hit you? Like, I'm one of them dudes, because I know you grew up watching all the top dogs. So like, when did it like I'm like that, my man like that.
Yeah. So it hit me when I was 15.
Okay.
When I was at Malloy. So I made my varsity team as a freshman. It never happened. And my coach, and I never played first quarter. I only played the second, third, and fourth. I never played the first quarter because we had a good young man, Greg Tracy. So he was looking for somewhere to go. And my coach brought me. I was just happy to make the team. My coach brought me in the office, said, "You made it." I was so happy. I didn't even care how many minutes I played, but I made the team. And then, I came off the bench and I averaged like 24, like 3 quarters my freshman year. And I won the MVP as a freshman. And that's just when it just blew up for me.
Man.
Yeah, you talk about just being happy to make the team.
Yeah.
But by the time that you got to Malloy, people were putting you in the category with Lou Alcindor as like top, future Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously. But they were putting you two in the category as like the top touted New York City schoolboy legends of all time. How did you handle the pressure of that with then just being excited to make the team like a normal 15-year-old would?
For some reason, I was humble, man. I was very humble, man. I just wanted to play basketball, live a positive life, a better life for myself and my mother. And Malloy, I get emotional talking about my high school, man, because not just basketball, but in life, it gave me so much drive, academically. I remember, the math reasons exam. I got an 86 in my math reasons exam. It's one of the hardest exams, that anybody can go through. And I got an 86. I was so proud of myself and happy, that I was doing well in school academically. And so my high school, we had practice at 4. I went to my high school 7:30 in the morning and I left at 9 for 4 years straight, 9 at night. And I did my homework and everything in the library because my neighborhood was just a mess. It was crazy in my neighborhood, but I love my neighborhood. It changes, it changes. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful Left Rack City is beautiful right now. but when I lived there, it was crazy, drug infested, everything. So I had to be careful because it was just me and my mother living in there.
Wow. And you talk about, drug infested community and some of the violence that was going on, but I it seemed like I feel like you had a pass. Like nobody brought none of that drama to KA because who you were on the basketball court.
Yeah, you know it. It takes a village to raise a kid, and my village, that's why I love Left Rack City. All the, people doing wrong, selling drugs, doing all this, but Kenny Anderson, they was like, nah, not him. My whole neighborhood, it was like, I was a celebrity in my neighborhood, man. And, I started getting publicity 15 years old. So the Knicks, the Nets, the Yankees, the Mets, the Islanders, it was all Kenny Anderson world, man. This is crazy. Yo, it was crazy. And I was in high school.
Wow.
Speaking of high school and speaking of Malloy, what did head coach Jack Curran mean to you?
He meant the world to me. He was a coach. He's not only a coach, but he was a great like father figure. He just I just get emotional just talking about him. Just everything, just how he handled himself, how he made me handle myself at an early age in my life at 14, 15, going to Malloy and understanding being a team player, at a young age. It was just awesome, man. I love the guys. We have our we went team reunion, every year. It was just great seeing those guys last year. Just so much, man. And that's where I got my my whole, meaning of the word basketball. Basketball is easy, life is hard. That's my slogan in my documentary. You know, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that's what I try to give off to my team at Fisk University. I'm coaching now, so that excites me. I wanted to do something to give back, and my high school coach, you know, what he did, I want to do what he did.
Wow, man, that's special, and I hope them kids know, and I hope they appreciate it, man, because they got, if they only, I'm sure they know now, but man, they better listen to everything that you say. Now, let me ask you this, because I want to take you a little bit back to the high school days, because it's like certain cities that like you can go to, like a Chicago or certain states, like Michigan is like that, New York, like guys, like what you do in high school. Like it could be guys that was average in high school and go win an NBA championship, and they don't get no respect in the city because they didn't put it down on the high school level. Yeah.
I got so much love, you know, coming from New York, the Mecca. You know, it was always New York, Chicago, Detroit. You know, it had some ballers. So, you know, Anderson Hunt was in my, you know, he's from Detroit. He went to UNLV. We lost to them in the Final Four.
Yes,
but
sir.
You know, he's a great player, and you know, it was just all love, man. But I really became tough, and I'm only 6'2", but 180, 170 soaking wet. But I got tougher playing on the playgrounds of New York City. And Vincent Smith, my mentor, every borough, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, man, he said you got to go to all the boroughs and show you the band. Show them what you about. And every summer, that's what I went out and did, man. We worked out. We would work out for like 2 hours in the gym, and then he'd say, go play pickup ball. That's what I did.
Wow. It was life. Basketball was life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, it was life.
You don't want to get Mateen and I on our soapbox about playground basketball and the death of playground basketball anymore, because it's just not happening. We got into it with Tim Thomas on the last one too. And all of us old heads are around the same age. We say the same thing. You know, it's how we all cut our teeth.
I slept with the ball, man. Slept with the ball. And in the summer times, I want every morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, get my sleep, eat cereal, a bowl of cereal, and go get it.
That's crazy. I got to get this question in, because I remember growing up seeing Pat Ewing with the T-shirt on under his jersey. You had the T-shirt on under your jersey. Like, where did that come from?
Oh, you know, my body, man. My body. It's my body. I really didn't like my body, you know? So I wore a T-shirt. And then when I got into the NBA, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I knew I was coming out of school. So if you watch one of my late games in Georgia Tech, I wore no T-shirt. It was just funny, man. And I think we played against Clemson, and I wore no T-shirt. So I was like, I'm thinking about coming out.
Yeah, that was the indicator that you was getting out of there, huh?
So I had to get used to playing with no T-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
That's funny. So coming out of Malloy, obviously you were heavily recruited, could have went anywhere in the country. In Mr. Chibbs, your documentary, you say that you really wanted to go to Syracuse. What was the draw to Syracuse? You mentioned him earlier. I think I know, but you mentioned Pearl Washington earlier. Was that a big influence?
That was a big influence. Pearl Washington went there. Then they had a great, you know, Derek Coleman, DC. Billy Owens. They had a
Sherman
great crew.
Douglas.
And Sherman Douglas was leaving. So I was going to slip right in and be the point guard. We had a crew. We would have had a crew. But my mother went on a visit with me to Georgia Tech. She was like, no, buddy. You're going to Georgia Tech, and that's it.
So mama made the decision.
My mother made my decision. It was either Georgia Tech or Syracuse.
Yeah.
I really wasn't sure about Georgia Tech. I knew they had Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver, but I really wasn't sure. But I was sure with Syracuse. Yeah. So I was just like, but when my mother said, you going to Georgia Tech, she really had love for Coach Cremins, who's from the Bronx. Mm-hmm. So we come, you know, he's from New York. she wanted me to go somewhere where the coach was going to take care of her baby, you know?
Right.
And that's what I did.
So how was that conversation with Boeheim then? Because I remember having to tell coaches no, and it was hard. How did that conversation go?
So I talked to all my coaches because, you know, that was my, you know, Vincent Smith, my mentor. He told me how to go about doing it. So I made the call, say, hey, you know, I love your school, but, you know, I chose to go to Georgia Tech, and it was fine. You lose some, you win some, you recruits, all the coach. See, Coach K spoke, you know, I was interested in going on the visit. So Bobby Hurley wanted to go to North Carolina. He thought I was going to North Carolina, so he signed early to Duke.
Oh.
That's the real.
Oh.
But, you know, you know, so Coach K called me and said, I said, I wanted to take the visit, but he said, no, I ain't got to take the visit. He said, no, we signed Bob Hurley.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's just like, and that's real. You know,
wow. I'm gonna dispute the you win some, you lose some recruiting battles, because not every recruiting battle ends in a Kenny Anderson, right? Yeah. So like he probably took it a little bit harder than what you think.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh man.
But so it was Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, Georgetown, and
was it Carolina?
Carolina. Excuse me, Carolina. Yeah, those are my 5 schools, but I only took like 2 visits, Atlanta and Syracuse. But then I wanted to decide. A lot of kids nowadays, I see they got like 10, 20 schools. All that. I wanted to decide early, so I could deal with my schoolwork, and just my last year's school was exciting and awesome. So I decided before the school year, what school I was attending.
So you could just play. They had to worry about it.
Yes, I had nothing to worry about.
And that's different, because a player of your caliber, they wait until the last day. You know what I mean? Nowadays.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I waited, but the Syracuse was always in the back of my mind. Georgia Tech was great, but Syracuse was always like, man, my mother wasn't going. She wasn't going for it though. She was like, you going down to Georgia Tech, Atlanta, boy. She might have got, you know, rest in peace, my mother passed, and, you know, she might have got some money from them.
So she wasn't going for it. You were going there no matter what.
I wouldn't say it. Now I could, because my mother passed away, but she probably got something from them. I don't know, you know, what it was or whatever, but it's got to be something.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit into you getting on campus, and you come in and you've got 2 surefire pros that are there that are upperclassmen. You got Brian Oliver, who you mentioned earlier, and you have Dennis Scott, who most of our listeners know, I would assume. Yeah. And you guys come together. How tough was it to come in and fit in? We were talking a little bit before you popped in about the stats that you guys put up, and obviously you morph into Lethal Weapon 3 as the year goes on. Yeah. But the stats that you guys put up as 3 individuals were incredible. All over 20 points a game, all stuff in the stats and in other categories. How easy, difficult, somewhat rough was it fitting in when you got there?
The first 10 games, you know, was rough, because they didn't know how I was, you know. Then and I'm just saying, from Dennis Scott to Brian Oliver, they wasn't sure that I could fit in, you know, the right way. I was a freshman, so here's a freshman coming in taking some of their spill, you know, from everything. So, you know, but it was sort of like how it happened for me in high school. So I kind of like just played hard, you know, and let the pieces fall where they must. But I worked extremely hard, and I was one of those gym rats, but I kind of shut up because I knew I was a freshman. I let Dennis Scott and Brian Oliver, who was senior, lead the way. And then by the 10th, 11th, we was 10-0, I remember. And by then, I was talking a little bit more. I was being myself a little bit more, and boom, it just hit. It just hit, man. And the coach, and then after a while, the coach just let me, Coach Cremins, who I love, just let me do my thing. He let me play. And Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver knew, hey man, I'm not a threat. I'm just here to help you get to the league. And that's what I'm going to do. I have time. I have, I'm only a freshman. So I have my second year, third year. I'm good. But, I want to win. And how can I help you be the player you want to become, now and forever?
And I think that's impressive because let's be honest, you could have walked in there.
Yeah.
You could have rode in there on a high horse.
Yeah.
Like, hold on now. KA is in town. Like, hold on. But yet you had a conversation and told them you want to help them get to the league?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and that's just coming from where I came from, Archbishop Malloy High School, Jack Curran, and how I came up. And I'm gonna tell you this, and everybody knows, me. I just was a very humble dude. I don't, I want to do well, but I also want my team to do well and my people that I'm playing for, and that's what you was, but at Michigan State, and that's why y'all won.
Yeah,
because that's your brothers came together.
100%.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about that year going into the tournament. You guys get hot at the right time, and you knock off NC State. You beat Duke, who you lost to twice in the regular season, and then you beat UVA to win the ACC tournament. Real basketball fans know how big of a deal that is to kind of cement your legend as an ACC tournament championship. It's the first tournament, first conference tournament ever started, and that is a very, very, very big deal along the East Coast, up and down the East Coast. Where do you rank that ACC championship in terms of your kind of career team achievements wise?
That's high, man. Everything, my first 6 years was a blessing, man. I love the game. My first 4 years at Malloy and my 2 years at Georgia Tech was the funnest basketball that I ever played in my life. And I really enjoyed not just the playing, but the coaching staff, the Georgia Tech fans, and the people I went to school with. It was just an awesome accomplishment for us. And then to win it my first year at the home, being a point guard, it was a tough league, and we won the championship. So it was awesome. It really ranks top 2, 3 in my life.
Wow.
I didn't win no NBA championship. That's the only thing I didn't win, an NBA championship, and I didn't make the Olympic team that I won. And those are the only 2 things for basketball that I didn't do.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unreal, man. And because y'all had y'all won the conference, right? Conference championship. Like how competitive was that? It wasn't like y'all was playing against chopped liver, man. Y'all was playing against some dudes.
Yeah, we played. I believe we was 26-6, and our 6 losses was all in the conference.
Wow.
So you had North Carolina State with Chris Corciani and Rodney Monroe.
Fire and Ice, right?
Huh?
That was Fire and Ice, yeah.
Yeah, Fire and Ice. You had North Carolina with King Rice, and they had a bunch of guys. I forgot some of them on North Carolina. George Lynch, King Rice.
Yep.
Hubert Davis. Then you play Duke with Bob Hurley, Grant Hill. You just go down a lot. It was tough every night. You had to win. We at home, you had a shot to win at home, but on the road it was dicey. On the road, you had to get those wins when they came up, if you could do it.
All right, so going in after winning the ACC tournament, can we talk about some of the teams that you guys ran into in the NCAA tournament, starting with that LSU team?
Yeah, with Shaq, man. Shaq, Stanley Roberts, they had a crew.
Chris Jackson, who later becomes Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
They had a crew, man. But the way we played, we just got the ball out. We ran with myself, Dennis Scott, Brown Oliver. We had Malcolm Mackey, Johnny McNeil, Carl Brown. We had about 6, 7 guys that really competed every level. And that's where we took off with it. But we wasn't a huge team. We was big enough, but we ran into Shaq and them. We was down by like 17 points. They were blocking everything. But I think, maybe a coach's decision or something, they should have slowed it down and got the ball inside, they would have beat us. But they kept running with us. And I'm like, they kept running. I'm like, it was like we was in a park.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. And we came back and we beat them.
Wow. That's crazy. And then I think after that game, you guys end up playing
Yep. No. Your crew.
guys.
Yeah, listen, I know. I didn't want to say it. Hey, listen, I'm still hurt about that, man.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, and I mean you going against another great guard, and Steve Smith.
Yeah, great guard. They had a great team. Judd Heathcote, great coach. But went down to go ahead.
And people forget, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. They was the #1 seed that year.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they was the #1 seed.
I know we was fourth. We was the fourth. Yeah. They was #1. Wow. And I didn't even know that. Learn something new every day. But I knew the game was close. And they let me and Dennis Scott just run rampant. We was just, and he put the game into overtime, Dennis Scott. It was a great game, man, in the Silver Dome. I remember that. And listen, Smith don't want to hear that no more.
No, he don't want to hear that. And that 3-man, was your foot on the line?
No, the foot was on the line, whatever. But I just wanted to be. It was good. That's it. And the game was in overtime, and Dennis wanted in overtime.
Yeah.
We talked about it being pre-internet earlier. That was like pre-4K HD 32 angles of every shot that's being taken on the court, or maybe that gets reversed.
Yeah, it might, but it don't. We won the game. Oh, let's go on, baby.
That's crazy. And then you talking like, I gotta ask you about like going to the Final Four, man.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's an experience. I wish every basketball player get a chance to go to the Final Four. How was that for you when you made it to the Final Four?
So I made it to the Final Four. It was in the McNichols Arena in Denver. So it was exciting and everything. But I'll tell you all a real story. I had a stomach ache. My stomach ache in Denver. So I was laid up in the room for a while. Wow. My mother and all my friends that came, and they enjoyed themselves. I enjoyed myself pretty much, but I had a stomach ache.
Wow.
Yep, I remember that.
In the Final Four, you wait your whole time to get to the Final Four, and you get a damn stomach ache.
Yep. It is first time I told somebody that.
Because you a true baller. You ain't make no excuse. You just went out there and hooped.
Yeah. No. It wasn't during the game. It was during the weekend or something like that. I had a stomach.
Oh, okay.
That's what it wasn't the game. No, the game was fine by then. The next day. But it was doing all the festivities. I couldn't really do all the festivities.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. No, the game was fine.
Yeah.
Can
you talk about that UNLV team that you guys ran up against?
Yeah, man. Greg Anthony, Larry Johnson,
Anderson Hunt, who you mentioned earlier.
George Ackles.
They had a crew, man. They had a crew. But we was tough-minded, number one, and we played a lot of great teams. So we wasn't really scared of anything. So we went out and competed. And we was up by 7 at halftime. And I got into crazy. Foul trouble. I got into foul trouble. They beat us by like 8-10 points. But it was a great game. And all those guys we named, Moses Skerry is from Brooklyn, New York. We remained friends. Everything is great, man. Greg Anthony went in the draft with me. Stacey Augman was in the draft. Larry Johnson went 2. He went 1. I went number 2 in the draft. So I told him if they had Muggsy Bogues at Charlotte, I would have went 1.
Kenny, Dennis Scott says that still to this day that he disagrees with Coach Cremins taking you out when you picked up your 4th foul. And he says that if Cremins doesn't do that, then Georgia Tech has a national championship. Agree or disagree?
I agree with it because I thought about it. I thought about it too, but it was one more foul. I'm fouled out. So that's a decision Coach Cremins made. And I gotta go with my coach. But I didn't want to come out. But when he took me out, they made their little run. And that was it.
Yeah, going back and looking at it, every coach in America at that time, day and age, is pulling you out. More than
Yes,
likely. It's just
that type of game. You just don't know. And he did right.
In hindsight's always 2020, but I definitely wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, he did right.
Now, okay, you going into your sophomore year. Now, listen, one of the best, most legendary Playboy All-American teams.
Yeah.
Let me say, I'm trying to get this picture that y'all took. It blew up right now. And I'm going to read some names off, man. I mean, you had Steve Smith, Larry Johnson, Billy Owens, Mutombo, Shaq. It was you, Stacey Augman, Lonzo Mourning, and Todd Day. Come on, man.
That's basketball, baby. Back in the day, that's basketball right there.
That's real basketball. How was that when you guys had that photo shoot with all the top dogs there? How was that day, man?
That day was awesome, man. I don't remember what was in Vegas. They took us out. It was great, man. It was a great event. It was just awesome.
Yeah, man. Who's talking the most trash, if you can remember?
Huh?
Was anybody talking a lot of trash? Because y'all had some hoopers.
Everybody was like, everybody was funning, man. It was great.
Or sticking with your sophomore season, Kenny, did you feel anything besides Brian Oliver leaving, obviously graduating, Dennis Scott going pro? What was different about that sophomore season compared to your freshman year? Did you guys feel like you had a target on your back? Did you individually feel like you had a target on your back? Was the team dynamic a little bit different? Like what was different sophomore season to freshman season?
It was all of that. I have a target on my back. The team had a target. The team was a little different with me, John Barry. We had a Matt Gagger, Malcolm Mackey. We had a very big team, big team. But we just, I don't know what it was. We just never really could get it together. Together. We had some good games, and we had fall back some bad games, things of that nature. It was just one of those things. And then the stress, not so much stress, just the recruitment. Travis Best was coming in after me, so coach wanted to know if I was going to leave school, so he could just come in and play and be that point right off the bat. I wasn't sure. It was a lot of stress going on with me. Should I make the move? Should I stay in school? And I love Georgia Tech. I loved it. But it was just time for me to move on so I could take care of my mother.
Wow. And that, you know what? It's funny that you said you was having those conversations.
Yeah.
Because I remember being recruited by Georgia Tech and having the same conversation when Stephon was there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Stephon had a conversation with Coach Cremins to see if he was leaving or not, because I was actually Georgia Tech was my top 5 schools. Oh, okay. I was supposed to follow up with Steph, and I didn't know if he was leaving or not. So that was a conversation we had.
Yeah, that's what it's about in college basketball. Guys move on, stay in school. It's interesting though.
I got to ask you about that though. That 90 point them 2 games. Now, what was you eating? Like, K.A., you get 40. And then you follow it up with the 50 piece on Lord and Marymount. Come on, man. Talk to me.
You brought that. That's a great question. And that's the best 2 games of my career. That weekend was the best 2 games I ever played in my life. No, sir. I don't know what I was on, man. Everything I hit went in. Everything I passed, good pass. It was just one of those things where everything worked out. It was crazy. It was at the Army. It was at the Army. It was sold out against Georgia. I had 40, and then I had 50 coming back. It was crazy, man. Atlanta was souped the whole town up. It was just awesome.
Because I don't think that's talked about enough.
No, I don't. Them two games is just, it will always be in my memory bank forever. Those was classic games for me.
People, go look it up. Go look it up because it was impressive.
Yeah.
Is there, if NIL existed back then, is there a junior and senior season for Kenny Anderson at Georgia Tech?
I probably wouldn't have to go to school a little more, nothing like that.
Right.
I would probably just be, do whatever I want.
Right, exactly. NIL, yeah, you probably just would have made money in high school. Like you wouldn't have to go to college.
Yes, definitely high school because my people. I went to school. I went to a Catholic school, but I know they was betting on the games and all that in the stands. Let's keep it 100.
Yeah, and that's good. See, that's that raw that I love for people to get. Like you knew when you was actually playing them games that they was betting.
Yeah, come on, man. My brother, my brother friends and all that. Bet how many points I'm gonna score with this, with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's that real raw though. That's that New York basketball, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, I I cannot let you off here without asking that Bobby Hurley that move, because I remember being a kid and watching this game, and it was funny because Dick Vitale kind of set it up because he was just saying Bobby Hurley is containing Kenny Anderson, and then you come down, you flow right into the bink. Like that was crazy, man. How was that to play in that game?
That was exciting. It was sold out arena. You know, I wanted to win the game. That was just off instinct, man. I had a big time game, and it's too bad we lost it. But we lost by 2 or 1, or it was something like that. But everybody said you got, what was it? What was going through your mind? It was just sheer creativity. I was just trying to get to the basket, man.
Yeah, that move don't come off no cone drill. That's New York Park.
You know it. Nah, the cone's out the window on that one.
So now you're currently the head coach at Fisk University in Nashville, and we hit on it a little bit earlier, but why coaching? Why did you decide to go into coaching?
My Jack Curran, rest in peace, my high school coach. I just want to give back, and starting on this level that I'm on, NAIA level, small level, HBCU. I'm just trying to change the culture there and the basketball, just everything, man. And I love doing it. And recruiting. I love the recruiting right now. I'm only 52 years old, so I'm still in the mix. I don't know 55 or 58. I don't know, but right now I love doing what I'm doing.
And some of the kids probably don't remember you, but give me the reaction for the parents, because I know they remember you.
The parents is like, wow, K.A. is coaching my child.
Right.
What you doing there? So I got to get to the parents.
Right, exactly. Because I know if it was me, I'd tell myself, hold on. Yeah. We got to entertain this. This is Kenny Anderson talking.
Like, I'm at a small school, NAIA. I think a lot of these guys now are so stuck on going to big D1 schools so they could get to the next level, but it's not necessary now. You could play anywhere and make it.
Right.
So, and that's what they gotta get. But they're not, a lot of these kids is getting, from the guys in the neighborhood, recruiting them and not giving them all, the right answers. They're not getting all the right answers. Right. So it's just hard, to recruit. Go ahead.
Oh, no. And I wanted to ask you this. Has there been a little frustration? I don't know, because you were so great at what you did. You made it look so easy. So have you ever just grabbed the ball and say, all you got to do is this, why are you making it so hard?
Yeah, I get frustrated. I get frustrated a lot, but then I had to understand the level that I'm coaching and how I played. And I call my coach Cremins a lot. He gives me a lot of information, and just I know how to coach, but the type of young men that I'm coaching is a little bit different, and I got to understand that, and I got it now. I got it. I didn't have it my first 2 years. I was frustrated, but now I got it, and I just enjoy the job that I have. And Coach Russ, my assistant, he does a hell of a job recruiting and getting these guys, just all the ins and outs. that we need on this level of basketball.
Yeah, I want to close it down, Kenny, by asking you one question. It's kind of Kenny Anderson, the basketball player, Kenny Anderson, the coach. If you had one piece of advice for people coming up, whether they're highly recruited, not highly recruited, you've been very open about some of your struggles, whether it be in the Mr. Chibbs stuff or whatever. There's this emphasis on such an emphasis on mental health and things now in the sport, on the sports side. If there's a piece of advice you can give to somebody that's facing some of the things that you face coming up, or if there's any kind of thoughts to how your career could have been different, or if you were growing up now as opposed to when we grew up, etc. If you could talk about that for a minute.
I just tell all these young men that my players, just be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself and understand what you have in front of you, what you have to deal with, the academics, the basketball, the work environment. Just be patient. Be patient, but also you gotta be a good young man. You gotta be a good young man. And everything will work out for you. But you gotta work extremely hard. Whatever, that's in anything. Marriage or anything, getting a job, you gotta work extremely hard. But I would think your self-awareness is very important.
Wow. And I want to ask this question too before I let you off. It's like, because all the success that you've had, and have you now not playing anymore, you're in coaching, you're in a whole different space in life. Have you had the opportunity or the chance to just sit back, man, and just like, wow, like think back, go back down memory lane and think about all your accomplishments?
No, doing these shows, like you bring a lot of memories out. But you bring a lot of memories out. I just, you can't talk about them all the time. You just gotta relive them with yourself. And my best friend, he gets it. I talk to him a lot about my past, about playing and all that. But I'm just not gonna, brand it out to everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's just something that we live by every day. But right now I'm coaching these young men, so I just try to tell them some of the do's and don'ts that I went through, and maybe I can help them, change their life. Right. And that's the most important thing about coaching. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, and do me a favor. And do me a favor and enjoy it, because I want you to know how much you inspire others. Like for me, it ain't no me without Kenny Anderson. I grew up watching you, admiring you. I liked my body, but I still wore a T-shirt under my jersey because you did. I wore a yellow mouthpiece, and our jersey was red and gray because you wore a yellow mouthpiece. It's like, give yourself a chance sometime and kick your feet up, man, and just understand how much you impacted basketball as a whole, college level, NBA level,
thank you.
Every park across America, because you was that dude, baby.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate the love.
Yes, sir.
I was going to wrap it up by saying this was a really big deal for Mateen and myself having you on, but I think he did a way better job of it just with his little outro there. So I'm going to leave it at that and just tell you, thank you for your time, man. We really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I did too, man. Thanks, man. Anything for y'all, it's awesome.
Mateen, I had a blast talking to Kenny. I love Kenny. Kenny's a great dude. Talked to him for several years now. He's a great dude, but probably the most enjoyment I got out of that pod was watching you and your reactions to him and how important he was to you. I just thought that was really cool, man.
Oh, man. K.A., man, like he's a god to me. And for me, I was like, I just wanted to say, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I mean, I couldn't even think of the questions I wanted to ask because there's so much I wanted to ask him, and I know we didn't have enough time. But man, he was the standard of point guards growing up. Man, I grew up. I mean, I put some of them like a Kenny Anderson, a Jason Kidd. It's just certain people, man. That was the standard, man. And so to get him on the show, it's a really big deal, man. And so I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan. And like I said, he inspired so many kids, you know, point guards, man, to go out and be great because he was fantastic, man. He was much before his time. He was that great.
Yeah, and he's kind of etched into college basketball history in a pop culture type of way. Everybody just kind of remembers Kenny Anderson. They remember the Hurley move. They remember Lethal Weapon 3. He's just kind of etched in there, and it's cool to have people on like that.
Yes, sir. Nobody wanted to guard him, or nobody couldn't guard him. The real
some of his high school stuff, like just ahead of his time too. Just dumb. So that's going to do it for us here at Run It Back. We want to say a special thanks to our guest, Kenny Anderson. Thanks to my esteemed co-host, Mateen Cleaves. Partner, thanks to 99. Episode is produced by Truth Plus Media. You can get more at truthplusmedia.com. I'm Josh Barnett, and we'll see you next time when we run it back.